Can you share a little bit more about the backstory about like how did you decide to actually start your own work in IVF?
Well, it's interesting. My father was an entrepreneur. He took the company Taiwan Semiconductor
Mhm.
public in the early 90s. So before that happened, my dad had worked at Texas Instruments for many years, and he says, "Oh, they're going to take good care of us." Well, of course, they didn't take good care of us. So my dad became the president of Taiwan Semiconductor.
Mhm.
So we're having a Thanksgiving dinner around our house. And we're talking about the founder of Dell Computers there, Microsoft employee number 35, all these people that are like, whoa, in the tech
Yeah.
industry are all there. So I'm just kind of sitting there in the corner being really quiet. So everybody's talking. And so all of a sudden they turn to me and says, "Hey, Klaus, well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a director of an IVF lab, and they're like, "Wow, so do you own the clinic?" And I'm like, "Well, why would you say that?" And because all these are lay people, they go, "Well, let's look about it like this. You're in the business of making babies. So you're the dude that makes the baby. So you own all the technology. So
Right.
therefore you own the business, right?" I go, "No, actually, I have a PhD. I have a PhD. My colleagues have MDs." One guy raised his hand. He goes, "Who cares?" He goes, "This guy over here that builds clean rooms, he barely graduated from high school, but yet I wouldn't build a clean room anywhere in the world without this
Mm.
guy." And then everybody echoed in and says, "It doesn't really matter what's behind your name. It's what you're contributing, to the final process, in this case, making
Right.
babies." And so another colleague, I think the founder of Dell, said to me, he says, "Klaus," he says, "if people come to the IVF clinic, it's like coming to a restaurant. They don't care if you're sitting on a plastic table or if you're eating off of fine china, as long as the food is good. I'll sit
Yeah.
outside on the curb and eat it." He goes, "That's what IVF patients want. They want to come to a place that's got a good kitchen, i.e. lab."
Yeah.
So after that, I went back to where my first job was, and I said to them, I said, "Hey, this is kind of how I'm thinking. If it wasn't for me, I've tripled your pregnancy rates. You know, how could we create a better business model that aligns incentives?" And I was immediately told, "No way.
Wow.
You have a PhD and I have an MD. I'll never partner with you." So at that point in
Wow.
time, I was like, I got to go. And, again, this is what I'll tell to all the listeners. I I had a lot of people say to me, "You can't do that. That's not
Mm.
right. You don't deserve that." And I
Wow.
actually had people push back at me, and I actually had a hard time finding a job because I was very adamant that, like, look, I'm contributing tons to what's going on. I should be a part of the project.
Right.
And really, it wasn't until, later on that I, founded the two clinics in Seattle that, to the credit of my physician colleagues, they had the vision to know, if we have the best person running our laboratory, ensuring that the clinic is running as best as it can, then we don't have to worry about everything else because we're all on the same team. I don't have to worry about another clinic coming and poaching my head chef, for example.
Hmm.
And that happens in the restaurant business all the time until you make the chef part of an owner, an equity partner.